Hello, I'm Giulia Sirignani for InProfile, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Damien Boehm, who is the founder and the CEO of Australia's second biggest locally grown commercial franchise brand, Urban Clean. Damien, hi, good to see you.
Great to see you too, Julia. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. Now, I know you have a particularly interesting founder's story, which I'd like you to share with us. You really have experienced boom, bust, boom as a cycle in your professional life. Tell us how and why you started Urban Clean in 2010.
Yeah, so I started Urban Clean as a side business. It wasn't the main thing I was doing. I was concentrating on a property development business. But one of my issues with that business, with the property development business, is I would build a project, I'd sell it down, and then try and live off the income that I got from the sale, and then put some of that aside for the next project as capital. And so I was going through this feast and famine cycle all the time, and projects were delayed. Sometimes they didn't go according to plan, so I wouldn't make as much money as I thought I was going to make. So I thought a commercial cleaning business would be a great way to supplement what I was doing. So it would provide regular, ongoing cash flow while I focused on, at that time, my main business, which was property development. It just didn't turn out that way.
Why? What happened?
So again, you carry a lot of risk doing property development, and one of my early lessons that I learnt was, you know, if you put all your eggs in one basket or you don't have ongoing cash flow, you put yourself at a lot of risk, and that's what I did. I ended up having three projects on the go. Some of them were due to make a lot of money, some of them weren't, and the rain started. This was 2010, so we had the biggest floods on record in 2011, and it didn't stop raining. If you have any experience in construction, you know what that means. That means tools down. There can just be a hint of mist in the air, and tradies just don't want to be working. And so nothing was happening for about 6 months. And I had a business partner who was a builder at the time, and he went into receivership. So he wasn't able to carry on. And the bank called me in and said, "You've got to take over all these loans, and we want you to put extra money in," money that I didn't have because I had overextended myself at this stage. And the market had dropped, and we had pre-sales coming out, and we had a development approval that didn't go through. So it was like the perfect storm for me. So I was left with no choice but to sell everything. I sold it at a great loss. I lost all my initial capital, and I was, starting at rock bottom again. All I had was this little cleaning business that I'd started on the side that I put very little attention and very little focus on, and it was a big shock to me. So for about a year or so, I think I was sort of in shell shock, thinking, "Oh my goodness, what's happened?" Because I had all the trappings of success. I had this great lifestyle, nice cars, etc. And then I had to sell all that and start again. I had a young family, and so I needed to make income. I couldn't feel sorry for myself, so I thought, "Oh, well, I could start, cleaning at night time." So I was out there. I rang up all my cleaners and contractors, and not that it was a very big business at that time at all, and said, "I'm going to be on site. I'm going to be clean," because I needed that income. And then during the day, I got a job knocking on doors for a roof restoration company, because I didn't really, other than having experience with property and teaching English overseas, and a background in classics, I had no other real background other than these sort of entrepreneurial endeavors. So, and I wasn't in the mindset at that stage to go out and sort of conquer the world again. I was still licking my wounds. And that's how I started thinking, maybe I should focus on this thing that I'm doing in the evening. And there's an opportunity here. And one of the interesting things I found straight away, cleaning at nighttime, these offices, is like I could get these jobs done fairly quickly. And so I had quoted them based on some things that I found out on the internet, how long they took. And then I realized I can get a lot more efficient doing these jobs. And they started becoming very profitable for me. And then I started realizing if I get my head around this industry, there's a great opportunity here to do really well. I just needed to learn how to grow this business and then manage teams.
Well, an abrupt awakening, a great humbling. When was it that you, and of course, this was in Brisbane we're talking about. It was 2010 in Brisbane with the rain and the storm and this humbling of Damien Boehm with a young family, but you figure out that there's a good business here. What was the process from this business becoming a franchise? Why? What was it about this business that you thought it really lent itself to franchising?
I never intended to franchise the business. So I just wanted to grow cleaning contracts and grow teams. And I was looking after sort of establishing myself in Southeast Queensland, maybe I would then grow the business down in New South Wales and beyond. But that wasn't my primary goal, and it's certainly not what I set out to do. So I do remember a pivotal moment where I decided I'm going to make this business work, and it was one of those sort of light bulb moments you have in your life. So, okay, this is going to be the rest of my life unless I make some decisions, unless I take some action, and that's what I started to do. And then I started learning everything I could about sales, about marketing, about growing a cleaning business, and it started to get traction. So I started to win cleaning contracts. I started to work out what customers were really looking for from a cleaning service and then designing the service around those needs. So I reverse engineered the business around what my ideal customer was looking for. And I started winning cleaning contracts rapidly, and I was winning them profitably. But the trouble was the way I was marketing at the time meant that business was all over the place, and I was winning a lot of smaller type accounts. Now, smaller accounts are very profitable, but they are often separated by great distances unless you understand certain fundamentals around marketing, which I learned only later on about how to get pockets of business and get a whole bunch of cleaning contracts next to each other. So I was winning all these small little cleaning contracts everywhere, and my teams were driving maybe an hour distance. So if anyone's familiar with Southeast Queensland, you've got the Gold Coast, then you've got Bayside, then you've got the city centre, then you've got Sunshine Coast. And I was winning, I remember, a bunch of contracts around Bayside, which is about an hour from Brisbane CBD. And most of my business was concentrated around there. And I remember I had a bunch of small cleaning contracts out that way. And even though I made money out of it and I paid my cleaners for the travel time, it just didn't make sense to keep these accounts. So I thought, why don't I just see if I put them up for sale? Maybe someone buy them, and I'll just concentrate on this other larger contracts or just around the city. And I did that. I put them up for sale, and that's when my phone didn't stop ringing. So all these people were ringing me up, wanting to buy these cleaning contracts, and it wasn't a lot either. It was like I think it was $3,000-4,000 a month, just these, and that's why it wasn't worth my while. I thought it's easier to get rid of it, and then I started realizing there is a market here, and people treat cleaning contracts like assets. So it's no different from having a car, no different from having a house. You can trade them, sell them. And that's when the idea popped in my head, hey, there's an opportunity here that I wasn't really aware of. There's a whole marketplace of individuals who are looking to get started in their own cleaning business. But the thing that I became very quickly aware of when I spoke to them on the phone was they had no idea how to operate the business. And so at that stage, I'd already developed an app. I had created a custom communication system, a tool, an auditing process, a training process for my cleaners. And that's why my customers were happy to pay good money for the cleaning service, and they wanted to stay with me. And I quickly realized these guys are not going to keep these accounts, certainly not at the prices I had set. And that's why they wanted to buy them, because, I mean, we're talking, this is 2013 now. And so I was cleaning at like $60 an hour rates. I mean, that's even high today, but that was almost astronomical back then, because most cleaners were charging, $30 an hour. So I was double the market. So people really wanted these accounts. And that's when, for me, the penny dropped. I realized, wait a moment, I can sell these cleaning contracts, but really people who want to buy these cleaning contracts, they need support. They need some mentorship. They need to be shown how to operate systems to win and retain clients long term. And that's when I thought maybe I should have a look at franchising. And in 2014, we did just that.
Urban Clean was born from this fortuitous accident almost.
Yeah,
What is
feels
it
like
about?
most of my life is that way.
Yeah, it seems to
Fortuitous
be. It's
accident.
inspiring, it's interesting. Out of you get up, you reinvent, and it can take you places you never expect. It seems to be very much the theme of your professional life. What is it? What is it about the model that is so different and unique? You now have 150 franchisees around Australia. So you're doing something right. Can you give us an understanding of what it is about the model that you've employed that's obviously proving to be a winning formula?
Well, when I wanted to get started in a commercial cleaning business, I thought I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So I actually went out and interviewed different franchises, because I thought, well, why don't I just buy a franchise? They've already worked it out. I can just follow their system. I can grow the business, because I didn't have global ambitions at that stage. I was just looking at providing for my family, having a good living. I didn't want much more than that. And it made sense to get someone else's proven formula. And yeah, I wanted a business that was turning over a few $1,000,000, but I certainly, world domination was not on my list of things to do.
We'll get to
So
that later.
I,
What's the plan? But yeah.
yeah. So I interviewed different franchises, or they interviewed me. Like, I inquired about the opportunities, but one thing became clear very quickly. None of them wanted me to actually operate a real business. They were happy to sell me cleaning contracts. They were happy for me to go cleaning at nighttime. But beyond that, not much of an opportunity was provided. And one of them was very honest with me. I remember after asking them, well, can you support me winning business? I want to learn how to win new accounts. I want to learn how to have teams, how to put on supervisors, how to do all those things in the business. And they, as I was walking down the stairs, they were just really honest and said, look, this is not the business for you. Like, this is not, people do not buy businesses, this business to grow a business. They're happy just, they win a couple of accounts and it's a great side income for them in the evening. But beyond that, there's not an option, not what you're looking for. And that made me think I'm probably better off just doing it on my own. Not because I wanted to do it on my own, but because an opportunity wasn't provided for me to do much more than clean at nighttime. And so when it came my time to franchise, I didn't want that opportunity for other people. I wanted the opportunity I was looking for when I started a commercial cleaning business. And so the point of difference we provide for new franchisees is that we want them to grow a cleaning business. We don't want cleaners to come into the business. We want them to think about setting up teams of cleaners, growing their accounts, leveraging the system that we provided for them. Now, one of the benefits that they do get is a benefit that can be had in other systems, and that is we will win a lot of business for them. So there is a mechanism inside the business where, if they have a sub-franchisor, we call them regional franchisors, where they can just get the business from them. So they're providing the cleaning contracts for them. And so they're outsourcing the business development side of their business. And then they're focused more on the operational side, managing teams, managing accounts, growing accounts, because we're big believers in wallet share, not just market share. So when you get a client, it's like, well, how do you get them to spend more money with you, because you provide more services, create more value for that business. And so that's a big part of what our franchisees are educated on how to do that. A lot of people don't want to be going out knocking on doors, making phone calls, and that's quite repulsive for a lot of people, I've found. But they're more than happy to do the account management stuff. They're more than happy to engage with their clients. They're more than happy to grow accounts. They're more than happy to get referrals. And so that's what we like to do, is say, we'll accelerate your growth. We'll feed you business. And then if you want to, you can put on sales teams, and we teach all of our guys to put on sales teams. But our idea is that we're getting these guys to have, high six figures, low seven figure businesses, where we're having a really great income for themselves and for their family. But you can't, it's not just cleaning at night time, after hours. So, and that's what the other franchises do provide. I would say that sometimes it can be a race to the bottom with the prices. Because you've got to differentiate yourself also in the client's mind, because if you're just a cleaner and you're nothing else, well, they don't want to pay premium dollars for that. They want a service partner. They want someone who's going to come and solve their problems around hygiene, around their office environment, and around productivity in the workplace. So yeah, that's the way we want to distinguish ourselves from the, well, it's not so much the way we want to distinguish ourselves from the competition, because I don't think too much about the competition. I think about us being better at what we do. But that's the real opportunity that we provide that is different in the marketplace, is that we're looking at developing people as entrepreneurs in their own right.
What role does innovation play? You mentioned earlier you have an app, and I know that it's a custom built app. Do you want to talk about that and just how innovation or innovative technology really underpins the business model?
Yeah, I think all businesses need to look at ways to provide a better service for their clients, or to provide a better experience for their clients. And technology is a great tool to do that. And I think if you focus first on the outcomes that you want to provide for your clients, for your customers, or for your stakeholders, uh, then you're going to get the technology right. And that's the thing that we've always been focusing on, is like, well, what is the end experience we want to have for our clients? Not so much what great gadget or what great innovation we can create, is how do we make life easier, better for our customers? How do we make business more profitable for our franchisees? And you innovate to get those goals. So you say, oh, this is a great tool. So you could use technology as a tool. So you could use apps as a tool. Sometimes the technology can be as basic as having a great communication book. And so some of our innovation has been around, having an app and having a very simple way to price jobs, to create proposals, to compelling proposals for new businesses. And we can do that within 20 seconds, very quickly. But some of the innovations is around, well, how do we start conversations that we know lead to extra sales for our franchisees? And it can be as simple as having a great communication book that presents the business as now a trusted partner. So we're solving things such as maybe their coffee, maybe toilet paper, maybe even ATP testing. That was very big during COVID, is the right reporting around the cleaning, because one of the things about cleaning is there's clean and then there's clean. So something can look clean and actually be dirty. So how does a customer know the thing has been sanitized, has been disinfected, unless there's some other way of monitoring and recording that? And they want to be able to report that to their, employees and stakeholders as well. That was a big thing during COVID, that we were big on, not just running around with fogging machines, but how do we demonstrate we've actually cleaned the place and it's been disinfected. So that's our philosophy around innovation, is outcomes first, and then what tools and technology can we use to get those outcomes. And obviously AI is a big one at the moment too, and there's lots of things you can do around AI. But again, it can't be for the sake of the technology. It can't be for the sake of AI. It's got to be for the sake of the customer experience and outcome. If it's going to be to the detriment of the customer experience and outcome, then you shouldn't do it. no matter how fancy or how shiny an object it is.
No space for showing off. No. It's
Yeah.
got to be custom oriented, yeah. Now, as I mentioned, you have 150 franchises around the country, and I know around the country. I know many of them have had their financial lives turned around by joining the Urban Clean family. What does this mean to you personally, Damien, this idea of spreading know-how and enabling people to really access financial freedom and prosperity?
It's, I think, the driver behind everything that I do. So one of the things I wanted to do is to escape the rat race, if you like, when I was younger. That if I really look at what drove me forward as an entrepreneur was freedom, for being able to choose, what I do, when I do it, and in a sense to escape the 9 to 5. I've tried the 9 to 5. I tried it very briefly. I couldn't handle it, so it was too much for me. So, and I think everyone's kind of got that inside of them. They've got that streak inside to say, actually, I want to live my life for what matters most. Now, work is an important part of that, and I think we are made to work in one sense, like we are creative creatures, but that should be something that ennobles us. That should be something that we're excited about getting out of day to do, and we should be improving the lives of the people around us and our community. And so one of the drivers behind what I do is enabling other people to have that same thing. So I want them to not have to go to work if they don't want to. I want them to have a business that can operate without them. Yes, there is room for employees. Like, people enjoy going out cleaning and doing that. I don't think that's a bad thing. So I'm not here to knock, people who have a job, but I think that it it is a great opportunity. Anyone can have this type of opportunity, like having this side income or a side business where that allows them to then maybe focus and do things that they really love doing. Sometimes that's work, sometimes that's providing for their family, and sometimes that's working for a great cause. And I think more people should have it. And the more people have that opportunity, the more people have a business like that, the better our society is. Some people don't like that. Some people like us to all be lemmings and clones, but I think ultimately we all want that freedom, and we all want that great life, and we want to be able to express ourselves as these creative beings, if you like. So without getting too esoteric. So, but I get great satisfaction seeing people go on to do things that they love. We have franchisees who really want to do marketing, for instance, and so they've used this as a business that's generate that ongoing income for them, gives them a great lifestyle, and then they realize, oh, I'm really passionate about doing marketing, or I've been able to pay off my house, or I don't need to work anymore, or now I can spend my whole day, looking after my family, or we've got guys who travel all the time. So they've got this business, they've set it up so that, because they can leverage the system that we've designed. And it means they only need to be in the country a few days a month. And then the rest of the time they're out traveling, spending time with their family, and,
Wow.
they're pitching themselves.
You're selling it to me. No, you really, listening to you, it's lovely. You really are something of an Australian franchising rainmaker by spreading your know-how and how to earn and what you know. And there's a real mentorship element to what you're doing. And I'm wondering who guides you, who inspires you, and how important is mindset and mentorship?
Mindset and mentorship obviously are critical. I don't think anyone can do anything great unless they've had mentors or books or people in their life that have guided them and shown them a pathway. And I'm no different. I've I've got books behind me. I'm pretty passionate about, books and reading, and I've always been a great reader. And I encourage everyone to learn as much as possible from others, their mistakes, their successes. And then I've had people come in my life as well who've been able to guide me, and I've actively gone out and looking for them too, and say, well, you've got something that I want, or a lifestyle, or you've achieved things that I'm looking at achieving personally. Rather than trying to work it out myself, why don't I just ask them, can you help me? Do you know, can you give me some guidance here? And so, for instance, one of the mentors that's been in my business has been Brad Sugars from Action Coach. In fact, he's now an equity holder as well in our business. And so, he built a global franchise. So he built a franchise. I think he's got 1,000 offices now all around the world. And the relationships he has with his franchisees are phenomenal. Like that's the things that I wanted to learn from. I wanted to know how to do that. And then recently I'm working with Darren Stevens, who also has now with his sons a master franchise with us. And but there's so much that I can learn from these people who've launched or started amazing businesses, or marketing geniuses, or franchise geniuses, or business geniuses. And I think I'd encourage all entrepreneurs to go out and learn from other people. You don't need to idolize these people. You just need to learn from them. So there's so much that can be learned from other people, and you would be surprised that most people are very generous with sharing their knowledge, whether it's by writing a book, whether they're doing courses, or whether you can have some form of direct mentorship with them. Most people who have achieved great things want to share that with other people.
Yeah. So it's a good point. Knowledge really is power, and knowledge is growth. Yeah. Let's talk about this moment in the Australian economy, or in the global economy. It really is a tough time for business, especially small business right now. Rising costs and wages, spiking interest rates, inflationary pressures. What are you telling your franchisees right now? And what's your sort of mantra for this moment, Damien?
I think it's easy to get overwhelmed listening to the news, or even, opening your electricity bill, or, you see costs rising everywhere. And you can start feeling like there's no way to progress here. This is so hard to make things work. The reality is, though, that businesses flourish during these times. So economies are cyclical. There's definitely rising inflation. There's no question about it. We know the numbers. We know it's happening. But the greater economy doesn't need to be our economy. And so when I'm talking to our franchisees, I want to encourage them to think about their own economy. Okay, what's going on in their life, in their business, because they're the things that they can take action on. You can't affect oil prices, at least not anyone I know. So they can affect oil prices. And so it's certainly not my franchisees, certainly not me. So we know, okay, well, fuel prices are rising, or electricity costs are rising, or other costs. There's lots of costs. Interest rates are rising. We know all this, but what can we do, and how can we have our own economy? And so my encouragement to franchisees is, let's focus on creating value for our clients, because value will never go out of fashion in any economy. So if you're creating tremendous value, where people can see it, they want to spend money with you because they're getting such a great return on investment, whether you're providing a service or providing assets or whatever. People always will spend money where they know they're going to get a great return on their investment, and they're going to get value for money. So obviously you don't want to be discounting. You don't want to be running down that rabbit hole, which is it should be anathema for all business owners to think about discounting. They've got to focus on creating value, and creating something that where a service or a product where people are more willing to spend money with them than anybody else. And so if you're focusing on that, as a business, you are going to succeed. So, and you are going to, what you're going to see is that those businesses that do focus on the fundamentals, that focus on providing a great product and a great service to their clients, they're the ones that are going to succeed. They're the ones that are going to come out ahead. And yeah, there is a bit of a sorting process that these times go through, where businesses that don't focus on those fundamentals, who in a sense got fat over the easy times where money was easy to get and there was a lot of people spending money, well, they have to get better now. So if they want to survive and if they want to flourish, because you can definitely flourish during these times.
And it's an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about growth for the new financial year. You talked about global domination, so I want to hear about that, and expansion plans, both internationally and also maybe some parts of Australia domestically. Where are you really seeking growth?
So yeah, global domination. That's a funny thing to say, but yeah, I think you've got something good. You should share it. That's what I think. So this is a great business model. It's taken us a long time to develop it. We've had many setbacks. We've got a lot of things right, and it's different. And we want to bring this opportunity to other marketplaces. So yeah, definitely we've got the sort of English-speaking market on our horizon now. We've got our we're prepared to get it for all of our documentation and ready to establish our office over in the United States. We're also looking at the UK and New Zealand. And there's also a lot of opportunities, in fact, in Asia as well, to bring this model over there. They've got a rising middle class there. The economy is booming in Asia. So we are definitely looking at that as a growing market. And internally, in terms of Australia, for us, the focus is New South Wales. It's just one of those things. When you do franchising, sometimes you can't predict which areas take off, because it depends who comes in and takes that business in that area. So our business model is reliant a lot on our master franchises, or our sub franchises, regional franchises. People use different terminology. Our terminology is regional franchises, and you get a great operator there, or someone who wants to take on the business model in their region, and the place can start booming. I mean, we've seen that in Western Australia for ourselves. So we are looking now at focusing on New South Wales. New South Wales for us has been somewhere where we haven't had a huge foothold in, because the business took off in Southeast Queensland, in Victoria, ACT, WA, and now we're saying, okay, well, yeah, we've got franchises that operate, but how can we drive the growth there? And so that's our focus in terms of just Australia. But yeah, there's a big world out there, and there's a lot of business to be had, and there's I think this is something that's different. You know, this is not how people have operated commercial cleaning franchises before, and it developed in the United States, this sort of janitorial franchise model where, you know, someone's going winning cleaning contracts and starting a franchise. But I think we can bring something different back to the United States. So we're an Aussie brand, we're an Aussie concept. We look at things differently, and I would say slightly better in some respects. And we can bring that back into the US marketplace and have a really quite a unique way of approaching this market, particularly people wanting to get started in their own janitorial business.
You mentioned that quintessential Aussie approach. What is it that makes it a bit different, do you think? What is it about the Australian way or know-how that maybe adds value to what you're doing?
Well, I think we're rule breakers. So I don't think we like to follow the status quo. We like to look at things from the ground up and say, well, why are we doing it that way? And one of the things we identified very early on was, why are we having supervisors that inspect business owners' work? Now, if you're outside of commercial cleaning, in the commercial cleaning industry, you think, why would you do that? Why would you have people going out inspecting the work of franchisees, people who bought their own business, and be the point of contact for clients of the franchisees? And yet that is the typical model that janitorial franchises have. And those concepts have come out, some of those concepts have come over to Australia.
Mm.
And they're based on the assumption that someone who buys cleaning contracts doesn't actually want a real business. They just want to be cleaning at nighttime. And they've attracted a lot of people who are sort of recent migrants too. So the English may be a second language to them, and they may not be fluent. They say, no, we'll take care of all that. You just go clean at nighttime. I mean, it's insanity. And so the customer doesn't have a great experience. Franchisee doesn't really have a business. Even the franchisor, they end up, not running around looking after other people's businesses, rather than being a supportive role and a role where they're developing systems and mentoring and coaching. They're actually running the business of a unit franchise. And so that's how everyone does it in the US. That seems to be the standard way of doing it. And we thought, why do you do that? This is insane. So I think that's kind of what I think the Aussie approach is like, we like to question things. We don't necessarily like the way things have been done in the past, and we want to take a different approach. And sometimes it doesn't work, but when it does work, it's like, oh, we're onto a new thing, and this is something that we need to share, and other people can benefit from this.
A good dose of Aussie re-engineering.
That's right. We invented bush mechanics, didn't we?
Right. You have a book coming out, Clean Up with
Yes.
Franchising. Tell me about that, and what would we be able to learn from its pages?
So I go through my story. I talk about how to grow a successful commercial cleaning business. I write my experience of franchising out the commercial cleaning business and the things I learned and how I developed the franchise to what it is today. So someone who picks up that book will learn about running a commercial cleaning business, absolutely, but they'll also learn about what drives business, and how do you create what I call insurance policies around business, because business is inherently risky. And I found that out when I was doing property development, and also when I was doing some consulting and other types of businesses in the past, is it is hard to run, and you've got large overheads, you've got risk, you've got things that are outside of your control. So the book is about how do you identify the right business opportunity for yourself? So how do you go and evaluate different businesses? And I'm obviously a great advocate of commercial cleaning, but what you can gather from commercial cleaning, you can see in other businesses too, like for instance, regular ongoing subscription income. Then how do you package that up? How can you sell that to other people, so you actually can create small assets inside of your own business? And you'd be surprised, a lot of people run their business doing it how it's always been done, and never thinking sort of outside the box. I was talking, in fact, to someone there the other month about the fact that you can bill every month for the cleaning service. And he said, we can't do that with a coffee business. And then he said, actually, I came across a coffee shop who sold subscription to their coffee. So that someone would buy a subscription for 12 months for their coffee shop. Obviously, they get some perks. I don't know what it was. And now they're getting that regular ongoing income. And now they can actually, integrate that sort of cash flow mechanism that's inherent in commercial cleaning, but actually bring that into another industry. And so the book is kind of making people think a little bit differently. I'm also wanting to change people's perceptions around commercial cleaning. It's got a negative perception. Certainly it's not sexy. It's not something that people like to boast about. I've got a commercial cleaning business, but it is maybe boring, but very profitable, very predictable. and it's an asset that people can build and develop, and it can be not just a great starting business, but it can also be a great end business. And so my book is trying to show people that this is actually a great opportunity and a great business to be part of.
What we're hearing is it's certainly the best accident you ever had. I want to conclude, if I can, Damien, by pivoting to the personal. Apart from succeeding as an entrepreneur and growing Urban Clean, what is it that really makes a successful life in your view? What does it mean to you to live a successful life? What does it look and feel like?
That's a good question, Julia. I think it's knowing what's important to you and knowing what matters. I actually look at some of the decisions that I've made, and I think I could have had a bigger business than what I've got right now if I made certain decisions or taken a certain course of action. But that would be to complete detriment of my personal life, to my family life, to my marriage. And so I've always made sure that what matters matters. What's important stays important. And I think that's something that entrepreneurs can very quickly lose sight of in their quest for success is, hey, what actually is going to make you happy? Making money is great, but at a certain point, you think there are things that matter more than just making money. Money is a great slave, but a terrible master. And I think if you prioritize what matters to you most, and that's what I've tried to do as well in my life. Like, I've made certainly mistakes, but I will not put at risk the things that I think matter more to me than business. And I think if you're in the world of business, you're in the world of entrepreneurship, it's easy to get carried away with certain things or fads or international expansion or, making $1 billion or whatever it might be. But the question is that going to make you happier? Is that how you want to spend your life? I don't know. For me, I prefer to spend my life taking my kids to basketball and having dinner with my wife and going on holidays with my family. To me, that's more important than making billions of dollars. So I think for me, that's been my guiding principle. And also and then to make sure that you're having fun. So you're doing the business with people that you like, making a positive difference in people's lives. There's certain businesses I would never get into. And the reason I would never get into those businesses is because I'm not helping people. I'm making money, but I'm not helping people. And so I think if you get that sort of balance around, your core values and what you want to do, you're not going to do it perfectly all the time. But it to me, it makes a happier life.
Well, keep making that difference, Damien. Thanks so much for your insights today. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and good luck with your book.
Thanks very much, Julia. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.